What's up, guys? He's Andrew Bone. You know Bone. And I'm Mick Gillispie, and we're going to do our radio show appearance like we've been doing for a long time. But this is for the digital audience, just kind of hanging out beforehand. But when you hear that music, it's Saturday. Bone, this game, man, when we were in school, we didn't win this. And now I think people are starting to see that, we did start winning again, but I would think I was there a little bit ahead of you. But this is a rival. This game makes me nervous, man. This is a rivalry game.
Yeah, Alabama won 15 in a row against the Vols, so that was a lot. I wrote a story. Well, I didn't write a story. I wrote a prediction earlier, about the game, and we were talking about how this is a revenge game for Alabama after losing last year. But then I started to think, man, it was a revenge game for Tennessee for 15 years in a row, and they just couldn't get over that hump. And I think what was it? Alabama won their 16th or 17th game in a row against Arkansas.
Yeah,
Last year.
nuts, man,
Um,
nuts.
yeah, well, I guess you kind of expect to beat Arkansas, but Arkansas, they always have a team that can sneak in there. And there was a few years that Arkansas did have gave Alabama a run for their money all the way up until the end of the game. Even some of those, obviously really really good teams that Alabama had over the last several years, but. It's going to be an interesting game this weekend against the Vols. You know, I don't know what their identity, has been on offense outside of
Hmm.
being able. I think everybody expected them to, with Joe Milton, be able to just, continue to carry on what they had last year. A lot
Yeah,
of big explosive plays, but getting it done a little bit more in the running game than people, people
yeah,
expect. I mean, they put some good yards up against Texas A&M last weekend, so it's gonna be interesting. The stadium's gonna be loud, gonna be rocking. Obviously, big rivalry game. A lot of top recruits gonna be in Tuscaloosa this weekend. It's gonna be a fun atmosphere.
Well, before we get into the show part, the radio show part, congratulations. Tell us about the newest member of the Bone family.
Yeah, as you can see, a little pink and blue on the on the shirt today. Yeah, I mean Molly Bone was born. What's today? Whatever day it is. I guess we can say 2.5 weeks ago. We were really blessed. She arrived a little bit earlier than we expected, but she's great. She's home. She's growing, and we're just really thankful. It's a long process, and you always kind of just hope for the best. Things are going to turn out well, and can't thank everybody enough that we dealt with throughout the process of getting her from these last 9 months.
Yeah, that's cool.
Been fun. So our son loves her. He's been great with her.
Great.
He's 2 years old now. Um, our dog starting to love her. So we're 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 doing well. We're not getting a ton of sleep, but that's okay. We're we're happy.
That's awesome, man. All right, we're going to Saturday. You're going to hear the band music, and congratulations, Molly Bone. I love that name. All right, here we go. Welcome back to the original Bama Football Tailgate Show as we get you ready for Tennessee and Alabama, the third Saturday in October showdown, the 106th meeting between these two schools. Bama had their 15-game winning streak snapped last year in Neyland, and now Tennessee comes to Tuscaloosa to try to make it 2 in a row against the Crimson Tide. Our show's brought to you by Yuengling Lager, America's oldest brewery, and present it as we talk to you, our show remote at InnisFree from Screwball, the original peanut butter whiskey. And this segment with Andrew Bone is gladly brought to you by New Life Art. Daniel Moore, he's got the Daniel Moore prints. I got the Daniel Moore prints. We'll talk about the newest print that's just out. But use the promo code Bama Tailgate when you pick up your next print at newlifeart.com. Bone, great to see you. Lot going on in the world of recruiting. Congratulations on being a new dad. Cayden Jones. So let's start there. Cayden Jones with Nick Saban. He got him all to himself. How crazy is that?
Yeah, Cayden Jones, 4-star linebacker commitment out of North Carolina, Asheville, North Carolina, 6'4", 220 pounds. Took his official visit to Alabama this past weekend for the Arkansas game. And he was the only official visitor. Now, this weekend, Alabama will have a couple official visitors. Zay Mincy out of Mainland High School in Daytona Beach, Florida, top 100 safety, and Justin Okenroa out of Germany, the German linebacker commitment for the Crimson Tide. So I have 2 on campus this weekend, plus a lot of other unofficial visitors. We'll get into a couple of those guys. But, Cayden was the lone official last weekend. He committed to Alabama back during the spring. Been very solid commitment. He told me the other night that, one of the only schools that has still been really reaching out to him, trying to get him to visit is Southern Cal. So they've been trying to get him in for a visit, but he says he's not taking any other trips. He's actually going to be back in Tuscaloosa, this weekend for the Tennessee game. Very locked in with his commitment, but really enjoyed the experience with Coach Saban over at his house. Said he rode the Gators with him, hung out down by the lake, shot some hoops with them on the basketball court. Said it was just a unique experience, unique fun experience for him and his family. So that was a great story that we had on Bama Online the other day. But he's going to be back in Tuscaloosa, and there's going to be a lot of other big names in NT Town this weekend as well.
Yeah, let's talk about who's going to be there, who's there today, who's going to be there talking to Alabama. The game's at 2:30. And all of a sudden, Tennessee is one of those schools now that is in the mix for some of these guys. For years, Tennessee really wasn't able to recruit at Alabama and Georgia's level, but give them credit. They've found their way back in the conversation again. I don't know how that plays into this weekend and today's game, but who's there and what should we expect?
Yeah, so we had a story on Bama Online the other day about some of the biggest recruiting battles between Alabama and Tennessee. Now, all those guys aren't in Tuscaloosa this weekend. There's going to be a few of them. Daniel Hill, 4-star running back out of Meridian High School in Mississippi. He came out a couple weeks ago and named Alabama, Tennessee, and South Carolina as his top 3 schools, which had kind of been an Alabama-South Carolina battle for the last several months, but took an official to Tennessee last month. Had a great time up there. They're really pushing hard. But he's visited Alabama just so many times. I think he was almost at every Alabama home game last season. This is going to be his 3rd Alabama game this fall already. So we know that Alabama is looking like they're in a pretty good position with Daniel Hill. Has not made a decision time frame just yet. But he's certainly a guy that we're going to be keeping a close eye on. Steve Mbamua out of Quebec City in Canada is actually going to be making a return trip to Tuscaloosa this weekend. Now, this is a kid that is 6'3", 265 pounds, recruited. He kind of plays that jack linebacker position for his high school team, rushing off the edge, but recruited mainly as a defensive lineman. Now, Tennessee was a school that he went to their camp, but they're just not really a big factor in his recruitment right now. But Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Auburn, Mississippi State, all top contenders for him. But getting him back on campus for an unofficial visit this weekend, pretty big for Alabama because he's going to come back in December for an official visit. And then one other guy I'll mention, and this isn't an Alabama-Tennessee battle, but one intriguing prospect that's going to be on campus this weekend is Texas A&M linebacker commitment Tristan Jernigan. He is a 6'1", 215-pound inside linebacker out of Tupelo High School in Mississippi. He has been committed to the Aggies since the summer, but this is going to be his 2nd trip to Alabama this fall. And we know things aren't necessarily going too great in College Station right now. There's a lot of people talking about Jimbo Fisher potentially on the hot seat. We've seen some decommitments from Texas A&M, recently, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's on flip watch. I think Alabama is certainly a school that he likes a lot. He's going to continue to show some interest in. I think Alabama has a lot of interest in him. So the more they can get him on campus, potentially for an official visit a little bit down the road, they're going to have potentially a chance to flip him.
Oh, nice. So how's this overall recruiting class looking for Alabama right now?
Well, as of right now, top 5 class in the country, according to On3 Sports. Just got to hit on some key targets. You look on the offensive side of the ball. You've got a great class. You got the number 1 quarterback in the country committed to your program in Julian Saying. You have a couple 4-star wide receivers. You have the number 1 tight end in the country, Caleb Odom. You have the number 1 and number 3 interior offensive lineman in the country committed. So what else can you do on the offense side of the ball? I think the biggest thing is trying to add a running back. Can you get somebody like a Daniel Hill, into the mix? Can you go out and get a left tackle like Jordan Seaton, the number 1 offensive tackle in the country, who, as of right now, has Alabama at the top of his list? But there's other schools that are heavily involved. He's at Oregon this weekend for an official visit. He's not going to make a decision until December. Then on defense, I think defensive line is certainly going to be an area where Alabama can still add a couple more guys. Do they potentially add another linebacker, maybe an inside guy like I mentioned with Tristan Jernigan, maybe an edge rusher? Those are some areas that they're still looking for some guys. And then defensive back wise, they have a great defensive back group, but Zay Mincy, as I mentioned earlier, on an official visit this weekend. That's one guy that they would at least save a spot for in case he wants to jump on board. So overall, it's a tremendous class yet again. You just got to fill out some remaining needs, and we'll be talking about this class, I'm sure, for a good while.
Bone, I'm throwing this up here. This is the Legacy Continues by Daniel Moore, New Life Art. Do you remember the first one? This is like the last 30 years. Everybody had those. Do you remember the first one? Like every house. Did you have one in your bedroom? Like I feel like the first.
I remember having a smaller one when I was really young, and one of my best friends, I'll never forget walking into his house because I did at the time. I didn't know if his family. It was like second grade. Not knowing. Is this guy a big Alabama fan? Because we were going to, my family was going to every Alabama football game, whether it was at home or on the road. They were always traveling, and then so you start hanging out with different friends when you're young. You're like, all right, you go to their house for the first time, and that was probably the one print that I remember walking into one of my best friend's houses and seeing the bigger Daniel Moore print sitting there. So I was like, I guess they're
this
bad.
guy's a good guy. Yeah, he's a good guy. You knew it.
Of course, that buddy of mine, actually diehard Alabama fan all through elementary and high school, and ends up going to Auburn, and now
don't ruin it for us.
And now he acts like he was never an Alabama fan.
Don't ruin it for us, Bone.
Yeah, but I think his family. They're still big time.
Good people, but not as good as they were before. All right.
Yeah, he was at Auburn during the really bad years for Alabama. So, he enjoyed the 4 years of beating Alabama during his time there.
Yeah, that's the legacy continues. Use the promo code Bama Tailgate, and when you spend $50, you get the Crimson and White calendar with that promo code for free. Bone, congratulations on being a dad again, and great to see you, my friend. And fingers crossed that the Crimson Tide figures it out, and then in 2 weeks, let's get back on here and talk before Alabama plays LSU.
Yeah, that's going to be a wild one too. So looking forward to it.
One game at a time, my friend. That's Andrew Bone from On3, and we'll have more of the original Bama Football Tailgate Show right after this.